very recognizable leader on the screen, and it's none other than Dr. Niesel Big Pond. I'm going to introduce him, but we are live, and it's on the Warrior Talk channels, and that's miraculous in of its own. Heather, we're gonna go ahead and start, but we're gonna show you a little trick there. Hey, folks, good to see you for Warrior Talk, and I'm drinking my bold cup of coffee. Everything's stronger with the Warrior Talk mug. And Brother Big Pond, Apostle Big, he's been called a lot of things. He's got his coffee. Heather, do you have your coffee mug?
I think we should make a toast to
Here we go.
Nigel Big Pine.
Here we go. Hey, there you go. Hey, click. All right.
There,
I love it. Okay, well, go ahead and go ahead and kick us off, Heather. We'll start.
we want to thank everybody for joining us today on Warrior Talk. Get inspired and be empowered. That's what we're about. We have some really relevant topics that we bring to you, and today is no exception. We have the wonderful Dr. Nigel Big Pond. I'm so excited. It's my first time to meet you, Nigel. It's a blessing. I'm gonna let Brent kind of give the accolades about you because he's known you for 16 years. Is that right?
That's right. That's right. Seems like yesterday that Dr. Nigel Big Pond came to GLC in West Texas and got to film him and was so intrigued by him and tworivers.com, one of his great ministries, his SWAT training, strategic warriors at training that people come to from all over the world to Hectorville, Oklahoma, on the beautiful grounds there, the sacred place, and learn about spiritual warfare or a military type setting is amazing. But just like yesterday, I was putting a microphone on him at GLC, and I said, "Hey, I have Cherokee. Can I have a native name?" And he looks at me and he says, "Big Head." And so for 4 years I was Big Head, and then I called and, hey, Brant's name also means firebrand. Can I have something cool like Fire Eagle? And he said, "So be it." Fire Eagle. And then finally one day he gave me the name Rolling Thunder. And I thought it was spiritual, but it's because I'm in the car all the time. But all that to say is, Dr. Nigel Big Pond, my gosh, where do you begin? Such an incredible life of music, worship, preaching, teaching, author of Women Warriors, God's Might to Fight, Morning Star Church of All Nations, right there in Hectorville, north of Tulsa. You've also seen him on stage with Billy Brim or Kenneth Copeland or Chuck Pierce, Rick Joyner. The list goes on, but it's none other than the man himself, Dr. Nigel Big Pond. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fine. It's good to see everyone.
Good to
Say
see
hello to
you.
everyone.
You
You
know,
know,
You're,
the
go ahead,
Greek
Heather.
word,
I was just gonna
you
say,
can't have
Nigel.
that. Let me get this thing off the air. Can't have that. Okay. Um, um, it's good to be with everybody. And the greeting word in our language is salam, asata, salam, asata. And it's a peaceful greeting. It says welcome and come and kind of like come and be seated or come be comfortable. And so I say that this morning, just be comfortable and just gain our strength and our peace from one another, um, one another's joy, one another's peace, uh, one another's spiritual strength as well, drawing from one another. And that's the way they
Mm.
used to do it. And I always admired that because when you just say hello, come in and sit down. But what they was meaning, come in peace. Let me draw from your strength. You draw from my, we draw from one another. That's what they're saying. Let's draw from one another. Let's draw our peace. Let's draw our strength from one another, our joy from one another. So that's a better greeting. Just said howdy, how are you, and hello, how you guys doing, and all that
Or
stuff.
hey,
So
y'all.
Hey, y'all.
hey y'all.
Shalom, y'all, like Avi likes to say.
I think that's really beautiful, Nigel, because really, when you think about it, everybody that is believers, we do draw off of each other naturally, and we may not even recognize it. So to actually speak it into existence and recognize it, I love that. So I'm going to have to go back and rewatch Warrior Talk today so I can drill that term into my head.
Might make it part of the regular greeting, you know. Well, I've always loved how you've said "come well," you know that's come well, welcome, and I heard you say that
Yeah,
when you
good.
kicked off All Tribes DC, the first time Trump was elected. And if you ask me, before the next two times, but the night before, history was made that week when Dr. Big Pond helped put together All Tribes DC, the first time in history that so many tribes came together and
Mhm.
worshiped and spoke and prayed right there in the square
Mhm.
the night before. And I believe it too, as Chief Crazy Horse prophesied, the nation would turn red. And I'll never
Mhm.
forget us talking, Dr. Big Pond. You'd mentioned for over a decade how Billy Graham said that the Native American world would rise like a sleeping giant would rise, and like a
Mhm.
superpower. Billy Graham said that, and I'll never forget. Let's wake him up. Let's wake him up. And you made history with others too at All Tribes DC. What would you say for someone who hasn't heard about the Crazy Horse prophecy yet? What would you say to them?
There's the crazy horse prophecy, and then there's the Billy Graham prophecy. They kind of work together. The Billy Graham says that we're a sleeping giant, and that we're awakening, and that we would come together. We would our ministers or our people would be a type of evangelists. There'd be evangelist move. And also, he said that we may be even the superpower, which kind of shocked me for him to say something like that. And it was in 65 at New Mexico, among the Dene people and the Hopi people and different ones in that area. But he was talking to all the Native people. And right now, we're doing a lot of things this year to see that revival, to release that sleeping giant is arising. And we have Native people that's going to be walking this year all the way from California, all
Wow.
the way to Washington, D.C., uh, in behalf of the revival, praying over the land. There's no greater and more powerful thing that you can do than to pray over the land, wherever you've been, where you're walking, wherever you're going, and just release that prayer. We have others
Mhm.
that are gathering that we just got through in Kansas City, Kansas, where we honored a lot of the native leaders, the elders, the code talkers of the Navajo people. They were there, and then the leg and the Kiowa Black Leg and elders that were these were in the Navy, there was in the Army, there's in the Marines, and they were warriors. And so they came and marched on that land in Kansas City. And there's others, ministers, evangelists, pastors that we recognized and honored them, gifted them. It was just a tremendous uh, turnout. And then there's other things, natives gathering together. Of course, we're going back to Washington, D.C. All Tribes D.C. will be going back in October. We go there every year since 2016. And we've been going there every year in the square. We've met at just different places there in Washington, D.C., praying, worshiping, ministering to people on the square. And just a lot of things. Got to meet the president and shake his hand and told him that we was with him, and he smiled about that. And he's it's just that a time of the year that our people are awakening, they're rising up, they're doing great things, they're preparing for things. and they're speaking some powerful words. And I always tell people that because we have our native languages, there's over 500, there's probably more than this. We know for sure there's 574 tribes that are federally recognized. And there may be more than that because Trump has already uh, uh, issued about 4 to 7 more tribes. And uh, so it's good that, and most of them speak their language. And I always tell people that our language Satan doesn't understand because our language is a God-given language. It wasn't given by man. We didn't go to Yale University or uh, any university to learn that language. It was God-given, given by our elders. And so a lot of them continue to speak their language, and we pray in our language, and we preach in our language, and just so many things that go on that the enemy just can't comprehend because it's beyond his understanding. And so uh, we always knew the Lord, and people don't understand that. They used to call us heathens and this and that, all kinds of names, and but we always knew God. There was a God, and every tribe they have a word for God or the Creator. Uh, they may not knew Yeshua, the Christ, but they knew of him, and they called him good medicine. They didn't know when he was coming. They didn't know anything about that or if he came or anything, but they knew of him. But he was called good medicine. And so I just want to make that very clear because a lot of people think we didn't know anything. We didn't know anything about God. We didn't know anything about uh, even the Bible. They some of the tribes said there was a good word coming across the waters, the big waters, or the big pond, and they would call forth that word. They knew it was coming. They didn't know when. And that was
Wow.
before. That was pre-Bible uh, time. And so there's just a lot of things that we already are doing and have been doing all these years. And that's the reason it's so easy for me to go to these places. I've been over around 500 reservations in my lifetime and just different reservations in Canada as well as America. And just preaching and teaching. And I'm 75 years old now. I'm kind of slowing down just a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit, and trying to take it easy as much as I can. Uh, I have 6 grandchildren, 3 children, twin girls and a boy that blessed us with 6 grandchildren. And so in this ministry, Two Rivers Native American Training Center, it's more of a military type setting. It's for warriors that come, and they've come from all over the nation and parts of the world as well. And then, of course, our church, Morning Star Ministry, Morning Star Evangelistic Center. We've been here over 30 years, about 30 years. And so we live on land here that was given from my grandfather uh, to my father and to me. And so we use this land to minister with, minister on, bring people. And a lot of intercessors come here that, they don't know how to have peace. I hate to say this, but Christian people do not know how to have peace. Their peace is getting on the internet, or their peace is maybe taking a dip in the water or whatever, but they don't know how to have peace on the land, just to sit and listen. My dad used to tell me uh, if you want to ever hear God, he said, on a hot summer day when you're walking, and God will speak to you, and he'll just basically telling you to be still and it's and all of a sudden a cool breeze will come over you, and then that cool breeze means he's releasing peace over your body or your mind, your spirit. So on this land, there's a place that I used to go when I first came here, to sit down on this rock and just pray and listen to God, called the sweet wind. The sweet wind would come every time, and I'd sit down and just listen to God, not really say anything, not pray, just listen to creation, not pray to God, not worship, just listen to God. And all of a sudden, you'd hear all his creation, and the sweet wind would come and just
Mhm.
release a peace over your body, your mind, your spirit. And so I take all the students up there every time they come down because, you know, I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it. Some people just don't know how to be still. They
That's true.
They don't know how to be
That's true.
still. Just to sit and listen to God through his creation. Now, I'm not
Hmm.
saying that God speaks to you. I'm not saying he doesn't speak to you. I think I've heard God speak to me maybe one time, one or twice at the most, but he speaks to me through his creation, the
Amen.
sweet wind. He's blowing over you the sweet wind and giving you peace that pass all understanding. And so those are some of the things that we do here, and that's just a mere touch, but it makes me feel good. That's why I get up every day and just enjoy this land, walk on the land, and just have peace.
It is a
Hey,
place of peace. Go ahead, Heather.
I was just gonna, I am tracking with you, Nigel. I'm a country girl and I live on a 50-acre farm. I don't know if you knew that I lost my husband last year, and I love the solitude on the farm. And I love just going outside and just sitting and doing nothing but listening to the cows moo and the wind, feel the wind blow. And I noticed first thing this morning there was a bird outside my window, just chirping his silly little head off. Just the happiest little bird I think I've heard in a long time. And that is something that cannot be explained, because when you are in that environment, you are forced to slow down. And
Mhm.
God inhabits our praises. And I lift praises up to him in those moments and just thank him. Thank you, Lord, for that tree. Thank you, Lord, for my cows. So I'm tracking with you. This country girl, she knows a little bit about that. I'm wondering if I have a little Yuchi in me after all.
May have, may have. Uh, you're nice looking like the rest of us, Uchis. Oh, tell me about the Cherokees, though.
Everybody loves Heather. Avi from Israel loves Heather. Everyone loves Heather. And you know, the sacred place, the stones you have there, such a special place. It's holy ground when you go
Wow.
to Heterville, and it's such a beautiful church, Morning Star Church of All Nations.
Wow.
Um, it's just amazing. But the strategic warriors of training that people come to, people have been watching us. I think this is show 71, 72.
Yeah.
Um, but people, we've been talking about taking on the warrior mindset and precepts and the biblical perspective of that, and the armor of God, the rhema word of God, the sword of the spirit, and such. And with all that said, uh, people are experiencing strategic warriors at training on the grounds there. It's amazing. And I've been trying to talk him into taking that on the road. Strategic warriors at training.
Yeah.
He's very busy and speaking and stuff, but interestingly enough, we've been talking to a tribe that wants to return to Jesus, and they're very excited about Dr. Big Pond going and speaking to them. Just there's a lot more to do. I hope you got your stuff in the mail, Big Pond, your drops to increase your energy and make you feel better. If you didn't, we'll
I
talk
did
about it.
get them. I just got them yesterday. I mean,
Hey,
day before yesterday.
all right, all
Yeah,
right.
I got mine.
I got mine. And, I'm seeing a lot of people in their 70s getting a new lease on life as well. But mind, body, heart, and soul, you have a whole lot more to do, my friend. And I'm looking forward to seeing all that unfold. Dr. Big Pond also was a long time face on GLC for a long time. And also KOTV television in Oklahoma City and as well as Tulsa. Seen a lot of places. A lot of people recognize you, Dr. Big Pond. I remember shooting a movie scene that people were interested in getting you to possibly take part in a movie. Very recognizable. But another amazing thing is it true that people, as far as Ireland, have had you come pray for the land? The
Yeah.
anointing you have to pray for the land? Tell us about that.
Well, yeah, we went to Ireland and we prayed over uh, the land there, and the Irish were taking us different places, different locations uh, to pray that wasn't too good. At that time, I forgot what they were really fighting over, but there's two groups of Irish people that were against one another, and
Mm,
I think they either called themselves the White Hand or the Black Hand or something like that, because you'd see signs of those hands
Wow.
different places. And then we
mm,
went to pray for um, over the house where um, I'm trying to think of his name, and I don't know why I can't think, probably because I don't want to remember it. But he did a lot in the South against the Native people. He sent us on the Trail of Tears and
mm,
um, across to Oklahoma. We left our lands and things of that nature. And so we prayed there to remove that curse. And just different things everywhere I went. I've even went to Africa. Went to Africa several times, and I need to tell you this story really. I think it's even better than this one because there's two kings in Solvay, in Africa that was fighting with one another, and and this is the worst kind because they're supposed to be Christians, and that's the worst battles you can have. One was a government king, which the government appointed him as king, and then a tribal king, the tribe appointed him as king. And so I went there to they called me. Henry Atutu called me one day, said, "We need you here, Baba." They call me Baba. Now, I was told that means uh, chief, and hopefully that's what it means. It might have meant something else. I don't know. But anyway, that's what they called me. So anyway, I went there and I was wondering why he wanted me there. I said, Baba needs to be here to
mm,
stop this or they kill one another. So I went and met the first king, the tribal king. And out there, you just don't knock on the door and go in. There, you come, they start singing, they start dancing, drums start playing. That could go on 30 minutes at least. And then they welcome you in to the chief's abode. And then so we did that, and he agreed. I set up a meeting the next morning at 9 o'clock. He agreed. I went to the government king, and same thing. Here goes the drums, here goes the dancing, here goes the singing, and all this. And then finally, I get in. Oh yeah, I forgot. They want each and every one of them want to be blessed.
Wow.
They they can't look at you. They just put their head, they bow their head, and they want you to touch their forehead. So you got to
mm,
bless them, every one of them, before you go in. There could be 30 people.
mhm,
So you did that. So that took a good almost an hour just to get into the house. And then we sat down with him and set up the meeting. He agreed. And so he's all ready for the 9 o'clock meeting the next morning. And 9 o'clock came in 9:30, 9:45. He never did come, the government king. But we went ahead and we worshiped and we prayed and we blessed the people. They literally crawl on the ground to get a blessing. They wouldn't allow to look at you, but they'd crawl on the ground. in the
Wow.
dirt, everything just to get a blessing. So we did that, and then also this king was building a a house of prayer, and he wanted us to bless that bless that stone. And so, but I noticed in his hand was a black looking monkey looking thing. And Henry said it's a monkey god. I think it's the same one that President Obama, they showed him had in his hand one time. And I said, well, I said, I'm going to bless that. I said, he needs to bury that thing in that stone to bury it and get rid of it. And so Henry, he said, well, that he may not like that. And I said, well, I don't care. I'm not going to pray over that stone unless he gets rid of that. So he went to the king. The king looked at me, or the chief looked at me, and uh, for a long time, he just shook his head, and then he went over there. He said he'll do it, but he don't want the people to see him do it. So he did it at his own time, but I seen him put it in there. So I prayed over the stone, and I was getting ready to go back, come back to the United States that next day. But the government king gave me word he wanted to see me again. And I told Henry, I said, no, I don't want to see him. He let us down. He told me he'd be there and he didn't show up. So he begged me. I said, okay, I'll meet with him. So I went there that next morning. And first thing he did, he came into the room and he hit his knees and began to weep and apologized for not showing up. He said, I said, well, how come you didn't show up? He said, because my people wouldn't let me go because they said I'm afraid I'd be assassinated. I said, no, he wouldn't have been assassinated. I said, God was there. And so he apologized and he said, just a minute. And he went to get a gift for me. And he brought in his crown. He said, I want to give this crown to you. Now, I
Mm.
would like to tell you it had pearls and diamonds and gold all around it, but it didn't. I mean, it was orange looking and it had beads all, orange beads all around it. And it's nice, and everything. And so he gave that to me and apologized to me. And as far as I know, to this day, they're living in peace and they got together and forgave one another and everything was right. But anyway, I'm just telling that story because you never know when you're going to be called and why you'll be called. So
Mm.
that's just one of travels that I went on and didn't quite understand it, but I went anyway.
Wow.
Mm.
So Dr. Big Pond, the Lord used you to stop a war.
There
And
you go.
what was the nickname again? Baba?
Baba, oh Baba, yeah, Baba.
Baba. Baba. Wow. So cool, man. So cool.
Mm.
Man, it's amazing what can happen when you let the Lord use you. And the First Nation people always have been fascinated by them. And it's such a beautiful thing to see history unfold. Most people don't know the when Crazy Horse. I'll never forget you told me about this. You said Chief Crazy Horse wasn't crazy; his horse was crazy. And the sculpture of him turning and pointing was based on something that someone saw him do um, when he was in captivity, and part of his prophecy, seven generations from now, seven sons from now. What was exactly was the prophecy for those who don't know the chief crazy horse prophecy?
Well, he said that all colors would come again, talking about people, whites, blacks, red, whatever, that they're going to come together again. And the
Mm.
day is coming when they would come again and be as one, be as one. And that's when he was saying there would be peace among our people and peace with the United States of America. And there would just be such great peace. And that the young ones, that God would use the young ones, the young ones would come together and uh, hands would be put together and come together as one. and that they would be a tremendous asset uh, to our people and all people. They would be utilized as young warriors that was going to bring this country back together. They would do great things. They would do powerful things uh, in this. I think in this day and time now. These starting this year um, for at least the next 4 years. We have things to do. Our Native people, for some reason, most of them, if they did vote, a lot of them didn't vote, but if they did vote, they was Democrats. And this time they all voted for uh, Donald Trump, which is kind of surprising to me. But they did. They they seeing him to do good things, and that's the reason I told him that our people are with you. And
Mm.
so uh, there's going to be battles, but our people are with you. Our First Nation people, the original landowners, are with you all the way. So don't let anything bother you. Basically, what I was telling him that
Mhm.
we're with you. The first people are with you. I don't know about the governments and all the things that they do. I don't know about that, but we're with you.
Mm.
And so, and then Crazy Horse was saying that we would be as one, that we would rise up, and the land would be changed by us coming together as one. The nations coming together, praying together, being as one, and would continue to do great things, powerful things, uh, in the name of the Lord,
Wow.
in the name of the Lord. And so this is a man that was, um, he didn't go to church. He didn't, I don't think he was evangelized, but he knew God and he was a prophet. And a lot of people don't understand that we had prophets in that day and time that spoke to us every day. The hunting grounds, when to move, if there's any battles. That was their job to enlighten us and tell us to get ready for different things. And so, the prophecy goes on beyond that, but what he was saying that we would overcome. We would overcome the bad days, the sad days, and that we would uh, that we're warriors. We're still warriors, warriors of life. Uh,
Yeah.
that we would continue to carry on and do great things. The red nation will rise again, what he said, and it shall be a blessing for a sick world, a world filled with broken promises, selfishness, separation, a world longing for the light again. And that's our world today. I see a time
Hmm.
of 7 generations, he said, uh, when all the colors of mankind will gather under the sacred tree of life, and the whole earth will become one circle again. Now, the sacred tree of life is a tree that they would plant, and the natives would plant that that when the natives, the tribes, different tribes came together and forgave one another and spoke peace to one another, they would bury the seed in the ground and bury their weapons in that ground with that seed. And so, in order to break the covenant or break peace, they had to kill that tree to do that. And so they wasn't going to do that. They knew they wasn't going to do that.
Mm.
So they wouldn't do anything like they would not they was not allowed to kill the sacred tree. It's very sacred, and that's the reason they buried it, and that's the reason it was a boundary, it was a territory, it was a relationship they had with other tribes. It could not create division, and so it's a very restricted area that that they took that upon themselves to do that, to create this covenant, a covenant of peace. And so So that's the reason I look towards Billy Graham and what he said that, that in 1968 that would be, we're like a sleeping giant, and there would be Christian leaders come out of this, and they'd be recognized, and they would come together, and their evangelism would come together, and a lot of our people have been saved, over the years, and it just wasn't, and seen a lot of miracles on these reservations. A lot of the A.A. Allens, uh, you know, the Copelands and different ones, the revivalists in that day and time, they would go to reservation to get a miracle because it was hard to get a miracle in the cities. Because on the reservations, they didn't have doctors, they didn't have clinics they could run to, they didn't have hospitals they could run to. They believed in miracles. So when they came up, when you gave a call for a miracle, you better be right on. You better know God, and God better be with you because they're expecting a miracle. Because you said if you want to come up, if you need to be healed, you need healing, come up. And so they're coming up and depending on your word, what you said, to be healed. And they better be healed or you're false
Right.
if you didn't
Mm-hmm.
if they didn't get healed. So that's how they believed, and so these are the battlefields that we're dealing with today in this day and time with all people.
Yeah.
That togetherness, need
Wow.
that unity.
Mm. You know,
Amazing.
it is amazing. Dr. Big Pun, you're a very humble man, and I'm proud to know you. It's just a lot to take in right now, but you are a very humble man, and there's so much more to you and your ministry that we could possibly cover on this show today. I'm intrigued with your book, Women Warriors, and
Yeah,
you've even got a workbook for that. That was, boy, I was drawn to that immediately because that's my heart, and women's ministries, and I would love to get my hands on that. And there's so much more. You've got the devotional out there, and I think you're involved in like what, 11 different ministries. Let's just add another one and make it a dozen, huh?
He covers a lot of ground.
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of ground, a lot of territory, and you are a big, big blessing. And I'm definitely excited to have met you. And I just thank you for being on our show. Mercy, that's
yeah,
a huge deal to us.
We've got to do it again.
yeah,
And yeah, yeah, I'm just excited, Of course, I love this man and got to run with him for 16 years now, and I tell you what, there's new adventures around the corner as well. But for those who want to learn more, go to drbigpond.org or
Yeah.
drbigpond.com. You can do both. You can also go to MS Church of All Nations. Let me make sure. Is that .com in MS Church of All Nations?
yeah.
Um, and that's where Oral Roberts, who is Cherokee,
Hmm.
preached his last MS, which means for Morning Star. MSChurchofAllNations.org is
Yeah,
where I'm at.
yeah,
And,
Okay.
and that's actually where Oral Roberts preached his last message. He was drawn to the church with Dr. Big Pond's Women Warriors book.
yeah.
Awesome.
There's a lot of prophets that have been here. You name them, they've been here. I don't know why what brings them here, but they have come here. They're well-known prophets, and they've always come here. And I didn't ask them to come. They just felt like they needed to come. There's just people to stop in and stop by, and just to get a kit. Maybe they just needed peace. There's some would just come because a lot of these well-known people like that. They just can't go to any church and just sit down and relax.
Yeah.
They'll be asked to come up front. They're going to be asked to pray. They're going to be asked to say something. They're going to ask to do something. They just can't come and relax and just. I've had our people just tell them. I said, you just leave them alone. Sit in the back. Let them sit in the back. Just let them sit there and have peace. And
Yeah.
for many years, there was a lot of them that came and they would just sit there and just relax and just listen. I didn't ask them to come and speak. I wasn't dishonoring them. If they wanted to speak, they had certainly had the liberty to do so. But you got to realize they just can't go anywhere because
Yeah.
people pull on them, pull on their gifts and everything, and they might just be there just to relax,
Mm.
just to have peace, calm down, and enjoy the word and enjoy people. And so that's the orders I gave our people, just to let them relax, just leave them alone, don't say anything, don't invite them to do anything, just let them relax.
And you offered the same to Oral Roberts, but he decided to go ahead and speak. And what was it, 2 hours later?
Something like that. Over 2 hours, he spoke, and when
Wow.
he left with me, he said, uh, "Always release health, wealth, and miracles wherever you go." And so I
Mm.
do that when I preach. I always tell people, I release health, wealth, and miracles over their lives, and that's totally up to them to receive that. Not up to
Mm.
me, but it's up to them to receive it. And so I do that, and he told me that, and he didn't last much longer than that. Of course, his son came here as well, and his son's wife and their family, they come here, they would sit here, and because the media was on their back and after them and all this, and you
Yeah.
know, trying to stir up problems with them, and they just need to go to just somewhere to relax. And I think that's
Hmm.
when a lot of people come to Two Rivers. It's a place you can relax, and it's not a fancy place with all kinds of lights and things over it, and trying to draw people. You just come here. It's a land where you can come and just sit on a rock or sit in these the church or the buildings or whatever, and just relax and have peace. Uh,
Mm.
which a lot of the warriors, they don't know how to have peace. They don't
Right.
know what to do. You've got to listen to the prophets and what the prophets are saying, whether they be old prophets or young prophets, makes no difference. There's four battlefields I got to release to you before I let you go: the spirit of unity, man-made boundaries, hope, and forgiveness. If you have those four, you deal with these four battlefields, you'll have a good day. You'll have a blessed day and blessed trips and different things. Uh, I'm hoping to always have that with me everywhere I go.
You are a blessing to millions, and we love you so much. Honored to have you join us. You and I have fun, and we
Hmm.
can laugh and cut up together. But at the end of the day, I know who you are, and I'm very honored to know you. And I'm so happy that our audience gets to know you even more. And Heather is golden. She's very special, and
Is.
she was looking forward to meeting you. I have a feeling you'll see each other in person too, and we'll talk
Mhm.
That'd
more
be
about
great.
that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's what a great warrior talk. So the four battlefields, you said peace, man-made boundaries, unity, and
Hope.
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 Hmm.
So walk in all of those things, and we can expound on those too for another warrior talk. But Heather, I'm
Yeah.
very happy we've had such a great time. Thank you everyone
Yeah.
for joining us. And like usual, a majority of you will watch after the fact. So enjoy, and we'll see you
Yeah.
next time on Warrior Talk.
Okay.
Bye.
Atohi.